Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 38. Atha jagam bhagvana narada sahutumbaru pratyuthaya bhivadyaha sanujo bhayarchayan munim.
Hare Krishna, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. While Sanjaya was thus speaking, Sri Narada, the powerful devotee of the Lord, appeared on the scene carrying his tumburu. Maharaja Yudhishthir and his brothers received him properly by getting up from their seats and offering obeisances.
Text 39. Yudhishthira uvacha Naham veda gatim pitror Bhagwan kva gatavitaha Ambava hatra hatputrarta Kva gata cha tapasvini.
Maharaja Yudhishthira said, "O godly personality, I do not know where my two uncles have gone, nor can I find my ascetic aunt, who is grief-stricken by the loss of all her sons."
Text 40. Karnadharaiva pare Bhagwan paradarshakah Athab bhashe Bhagwana Narado munisatmah.
You are like a captain of a ship in a great ocean, and you can direct us to our destination. Thus addressed, the godly personality, Devarshi Narada, greatest of the philosopher devotees, began to speak.
Text 41. Narada Uvacha Ma kanchana shucho rajan Yadvishwar vasham jagat Loka sapala yasye me Vahanti balimishituhu Sa sanyuknakti bhutani Sa eva viyunukti cha.
Sri Narada said, "O pious king, do not lament for anyone, for everyone is under the control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, all living beings and their leaders carry on worship to be well protected. It is He only who brings them together and disperses them."
Text 42. Yatha gavo nasi protastantayam baddhas cha damabhi vattantayam nama nirbaddha vahanti balimishituhu.
As a cow bound through the nose by a long rope is conditioned, so also human beings are bound by different Vedic injunctions and are conditioned to obey the orders of the Supreme.
Text 43. Yatha kriropaskaranam sanyoga vigama viha ikshaya kridatu syatam tathaivaishasya nirnam.
As a player sets up and disperses his playthings according to his own sweet will, so the supreme will of the Lord brings men together and separates them.
Text 44. Yanmanyase dhruvam lokam adhruvam va nachubhyam sarvatha nahi shocyaste sneha danyatra mohajat.
O king, in all circumstances, whether you consider the soul to be an eternal principle or the material body to be perishable, or everything to exist in the impersonal absolute truth, or everything to be an inexplicable combination of matter and spirit, feelings of separation are only due to illusory affection and nothing more.
Text 45. तस्मान्याज्य अङ्गवैक्लव्यम् अज्ञानं कृतम् आत्मनः कथं त्वा अन्था कृपाणां वर्तेरं स्तेषामं विनः.
Therefore, give up your anxiety due to ignorance of the self. You are now thinking of how they, who are helpless, poor creatures, will exist without you.
Text 46. कालकर्मा गुणाधीनो देहोऽयं पञ्चभौतिकः कथमन्यास्तु गोपाये सर्पग्रस्तो यथा परम्.
This gross material body, made of 5 elements, is already under the control of eternal time, kala, action, karma, and the modes of material nature, guna. How then can it, being already in the jaws of the serpent, protect others?
Text 47. अहस्तानि सहस्तानां पदानि चतुष्पदाम् फल्गुनी तत्र महतां जीवो जीवस्य जीवनम्.
Those who are devoid of hands are prey for those who have hands. Those devoid of legs are prey for those four-legged. The weak are the subsistence of the strong, and the general rule holds that one living being is food for another.
Text 48. तदिदं भगवान् राजनेक आत्मात्मानं स्वदृक् अन्तरोऽनन्तरो भाति पश्यातं माययोरुदः.
Therefore, O king, you should look to the Supreme Lord only, who is one without a second and who manifests himself by different energies and is both within and without.
Text 49. सोऽयं मध्य महाराजा भगवान् भूतभावनः कालरूपोऽवतीर्णोऽस्याम भावाय सुरद्वीषाम्.
That Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, in the guise of all devouring time, Kala Rupa, has now descended to the earth to eliminate the envious from the world.
Text 50. निष्पादितं देवकृत्यं वा शेषं प्रतीक्षते तावद् यूयमवेशद्वं भवेद्यावादुभेश्वरः.
The Lord has already performed his duties to help the demigods, and he is awaiting the rest. You Pandavas may wait as long as the Lord is here on earth.
Text 51. धृतराष्ट्र सह भ्रात्रा गान्धार्या च स्वय भार्यया दक्षिणेन हिमावत ऋषीणामाश्रमं गतः.
O king, your uncle Dhritarashtra, his brother Vidura, and his wife Gandhari have gone to the southern side of the Himalaya mountains, where there are shelters of the great sages.
Text 52. स्रोतोभिः सप्तभिर्या वै स्वाधुर्नि सप्तधा व्यधात् सप्तानां प्रीतये नाना सप्तसोत्रतः प्रक्षते.
The place is called Saptasotra, divided by 7, because the waters of the sacred Ganges were divided into 7 branches. This was done for the satisfaction of the 7 great rishis.
Text 53. Snatvanusvanam tasmin hutva chagni na yatha vidihi abhaksha upshanatatma sa aste vigateshanaha.
On the banks at Saptasrota, Dhritarashtra is now engaged in beginning Ashtanga Yoga by bathing 3 times daily, in the morning, noon, and evening, by performing the Agnihotra sacrifice with fire, and by drinking only water. This helps one control the mind and the senses and frees one completely from thoughts of familial affection.
Text 54. Jitasno jita shwasam pratyahrit shad indriya hari bhavnaya dvastar rajam satvat mumalaha.
One who has controlled the sitting postures, the yogic asanas, and the breathing process can turn the senses toward the absolute personality of Godhead and thus become immune to the contaminations of the modes of material nature, namely mundane goodness, passion, and ignorance.
Text 55. Vijnanatmani sanyojya kshetrajye pravilapyatam brahmanatmanamadhare ghatambara
Dhritarashtra will have to amalgamate his pure identity with intelligence and then merge into the Supreme Being with knowledge of his qualitative oneness as a living entity with the Supreme Brahman. Being freed from the blocked sky, he will have to rise to the spiritual sky.
Text 56. Dvastamaya gunodarko niruddha karnashaya nirvititakhila har aste narurivachalah tasyantarayo meva bhu sanyasti khila karmanah.
He will have to suspend all the actions of the senses, even from the outside, and will have to be impervious to interactions of the senses, which are influenced by the modes of material nature. After renouncing all material duties, he must become immovably established beyond all sources of hindrances on the path.
Text 57. Sava adhyatnadrajan parata panchame hani kalevaram hasyati swam taccha bhasmi bhavashyati.
O king, he will quit his body, most probably on the 5th day from today, and his body will turn to ashes.
Text 58. Dayyamane agni bhirdahe patyu patni sahotje bahi stitha patim sadhvi tam agni manuvekshyati.
While outside observing her husband, who will burn in the fire of mystic power along with his thatched cottage, his chaste wife will enter the fire with rapt attention.
Text 59. Vidurastu tadashyaram nishamya kurunandanaha harsha yoga yutasmada ganta tirtha nishevakaha.
Vidura, being affected with delight and grief, will then leave that place of sacred pilgrimage.
Text 60. इति युक्त्वा थरूहत स्वर्गं नारदः सह तुम्बरुः युधिष्ठिरो वचस्तस्य हृदि कृत्वा जहाक्षुजः.
Having spoken thus, the great sage Narada, along with his Veena, ascended into outer space. Yudhishthira kept his instruction in his heart and so was able to get rid of all lamentations. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for that wonderful recitation, Matajis. Can you see the slides on the screen?
No, Mataji, it's all blank. I can't see from my side.
Oh, okay. I can see. 1 minute. Let me start again. Oh, I can't stop share. I don't know what's happened. Can you hear? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but we can't see your screen.
Okay. Oh, 1 moment. Let me try again. Share screen. Okay. Now can you see the slides?
Yes.
Mataji.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we'll start with the prayers. Thank you for wonderful recitation, Buddha Mataji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agnanatimirandhasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kata Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिनीति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं कृष्णचैतन्य ईश्वरम् नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृत्यन्त्यः स्तोः भद्राणि विधुनोति सुरत्सताम् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी सतां प्रसङ्गान् मम वीर्यसंविदो भवन्ति हृत्कर्णरसायना कथाः तज्जोष्णनादाशपवर्गवर्ध्वनि श्रद्धा रतिर्भक्तिरनुक्रमिष्यति Hare Krishna, welcome dear devotees to Chat Plus Bhagavatam class. Today we are discussing 3 verses from chapter 13. We are nearly coming to an end of this chapter. So last 6 verses. So today 3 verses which are connected about Dhritarashtra. So we will try and discuss that. So basically Dhritarashtra with Gandhari goes to Himalaya. He will perform Ashtanga Yoga and eventually he will give up his body by fire, and then Gandhari will also enter the fire and they both will leave the material world that way and enter the spiritual world. So we will also all the 3 purports we will read today also. So if there are any volunteers also, that will be nice, or I can read. विज्ञानात्मनि संयोज्य क्षेत्रज्ञे प्रविलाप्यतं ब्राह्मण्यात्मानमाधारे गताम्बरमिवाम्बरे. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Dhritarashtra will have to amalgamate his pure identity with intelligence and then merge into the Supreme Being with knowledge of his qualitative oneness as a living entity with the Supreme Brahman. Being freed from the block sky, he will have to rise to the spiritual sky. So all this is spoken now. Narad Muni is enlightening Yudhishthir Maharaj about the movements of Dhritarashtra. Anyone wants to read the purport?
I can read, Mataji.
Yes, please go ahead, Mataji. Thank
The
you.
living being, by his desiring to lord it over the material world and declining to cooperate with the Supreme Lord, contacts the sum total of the material world, namely the Mahatattva, and from the Mahatattva, his false identity with the material world, intelligence, mind, and senses is developed. This covers his pure spiritual identity. By the yogic process, when his pure identity is realized in self-realization, one has to revert to the original position by amalgamating the 5 gross elements and the subtle elements, mind and intelligence, into the Mahatattva again. Thus, getting freed from the clutches of the Mahatattva, he has to merge in the existence of the Supersoul. In other words, he has to realize that qualitatively he is non-different from the Supersoul, and thus he transcends the material sky by his pure identical intelligence, and thus becomes engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord.
Thank you, Mataji. And someone wants to read the second part of the purport here, this page.
Can I read Mataji?
Sure, Arpita. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna. This is the highest perfectional development of spiritual identity, which was attained by Dhritarashtra by the grace of Vidura and the Lord. The Lord's mercy was bestowed upon him and by his personal contact with Vidura. And when he was actually practicing the instructions of Vidura, the Lord helped him to attain the highest perfectional stage. A pure devotee of the Lord does not live on any planet of the material sky, nor does he feel any contact with material elements. His so-called material body does not exist, being surcharged with the spiritual current of the Lord's identical interest, and thus he is permanently freed from all contaminations of the sum total of the Mahatattva. He is always in the spiritual sky, and when he attains by being transcendental to the sevenfold material coverings by the effect of his devotional service, the conditioned souls are within the coverings, whereas the liberated soul is far beyond the cover. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. Okay, so here in this purport, as I was reading today, Srila Prabhupada is explaining that what happens. First, he is talking about the Mahat Tattva. So, to try to understand that, I remember reading earlier when we were studying the 3rd chapter. There in the first verse, 131 purport, Srila Prabhupada has given explanation of what Mahat Tattva is. So we will try and read that to understand that. And then also the way that Dhritarashtra is leaving his body and attaining self-realization, and then he will give up the material body and go to spiritual world by the Ashtanga yoga process. That in the previous verses also we saw how difficult it is because there are two stages, right, for Ashtanga yoga. As per, if we read the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Dhyana Yoga, so there is Yama, Niyama, Asana, and Pranayama, Pratyahara. So these 5 steps are called, in there we had studied Yoga Aruksha, beginning stage. So when you have come to Yama is basically the don'ts, Niyama are the do's, rules and regulations, Asana, bodily exercises, Pranayam, breathing exercise, Pratyahara is withdrawing the senses from sense objects. So basically controlling the mind. And these are the transition stages. Thereafter, what comes is the more advanced stage, which is called Yoga Aruda. And all these we had studied in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Then one advances and goes to dharana, where they fix their mind on the Lord's overall form, and dhyana. Then they do the intensified meditation on the Lord, and samadhi, which means a complete absorption or trance takes place, and from there they ascend to the spiritual world, because basically they will go through the subtle layers also. The soul will separate from mind, body, the intelligence, mind, and the false ego. False ego is the one which is keeping us trapped here under the 3 modes of material nature, right? And after hearing all this, also Arjuna says that, mind, Krishna says mind is both our friend and enemy, both, right? So if the mind is controlled, mind is our friend. But if the mind is controlling us, then the mind is our enemy. There is that verse also, Uddharet Atmanatmanam, Natmanam Avasadayet. Atmaiva hi Atmano Bandhur. Bandhur means friend, and Atmaiva Ripur Atmanaha. So uncontrolled mind is one's enemy, Ripur Atmanaha. So here then Arjuna also tells Krishna that, this is so difficult to control the mind. And that is why this Ashtanga Yoga process is actually very difficult for in Kali Yuga, in this day and age. It is very difficult because the mind has to be controlled, and only then this is possible, which is like very difficult because there are so many distractions. That is why instead of controlling the mind, getting it to do what is right by giving it higher taste, then automatically the mind will give up the lower. That's why Bhakti Yoga is so much emphasized in Bhagavatam. As the Kali Yuga progresses, the bhakti has taken place in Bhagavatam, which means that Bhakti Yoga is the answer to everything. And even in the 33rd verse, Arjuna says to Krishna, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna, pramati balavadridam, tasyaham nigraham manye, vayorivasu dushkaram. Krishna, mind is so flickering, it is turbulent, it is obstinate and very strong. So to subdue the mind is very, very difficult. Controlling the wind is easier than subduing the mind. So the M of the mind, if you turn it, it becomes W, wind, right? So wind you can control, Arjuna says, with my weapons, but my mind I can't. It is that chanchala, it is that flickering. So anyway, so this is the Ashtanga Yoga process. And later on, we will see that in the coming verses, that why it is so important, the position of a devotee of the Lord. The position that Dhritarashtra achieves is actually by the mercy of Vidura. So we will see that. But before that, I thought we will try and understand this Mahat Tattva, and then we can move on to the next verse. So here Srila Prabhupada has given explanation. So this first part of this purport we will actually discuss later. First, if we see what is Mahat Tattva. So let me see if I can share the Veda base. Okay. Okay. Are you able to see 131, the Veda base on the screen?
Yes, we can. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Great. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, so here Mahatattvam, as Srila Prabhupada explains. Let's look. I hope I got the right verse for this. Here it is. Yeah. Where shall we start reading from? Actually, it should be from here. Would you like to read Palikataji, the first part of this purport? Or if you're someone else, whoever wants to read? Yeah, Mataji, go ahead, Palika. Yeah.
The Bhagavad Gita states that the personality of Godhead Krishna maintains this material universe by extending his plenary expansions. So this Purusha form is the confirmation of same principle. The original personality Godhead Vasudeva or Lord Krishna, who is famous as the son of King Vasudeva or King Nanda, is full with opulence. All potencies, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all reincarnation. A part of his opulence is manifested as impersonal Brahman, and a part of his opulence is manifested as Paramatma. This Purusha, feature of the same personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the original Paramatma manifestation of the Lord. There are three Purusha features in the material creation, and this form, who is known as the Kriyodaksha Vishnu, is the first of the three. The others are known as Garbhodaksha Vishnu and Kriyodaksha Vishnu, which we shall know one after another. The innumerable universe are generated from the skin holes of the Kriyodaksha Vishnu, and each of one is of the universes of the Lord enter as Garbhodaksha Vishnu. Is that up to
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you, Mataji. So basically, we've seen here, Prabhupada is explaining that there are three Vishnus, and who is the origin of all these Vishnus is Krishna, who is full with all six opulences. So from these three Vishnus, the Mahavishnu, Karana, Dakshai, if we start with that, that's how it starts. So say, for example, there is a huge, big spiritual sky. It's unlimited. And in that spiritual sky, there is in one corner a very small portion of spiritual sky. A huge big bubble takes place, which is called Mahat Tattva. And in there, Mahavishnu is lying down on Karana ocean. And when he breathes out from his bodily pores, unlimited universes come out. So in each of that universe, then there is further another Vishnu, who is Garbhodaksha Vishnu, from whose navel so many planetary systems come out, right? And on top is Brahmalok, Brahma comes out, and then so many planets are there. That is one universe where we are, and in the middle there is also Earth planet where we are. Like that, there are so many bubbles. If you imagine within that huge big thing, which is called Mahat Tattva. So anything that enters inside this Mahat Tattva is basically material sky. It is now material world. It's not a spiritual world. And each bubble is covered by another, which is, I think, here in the second paragraph, Prabhupada talks about the sevenfold material coverings. So each universe is protected by these sevenfold material coverings, which are earth, water, fire, air, ether, total energy, sixth one, which is mind and intelligence, and false ego. So if you imagine like a rainbow, so from the first layer, second, third, each layer starts getting denser, 10 times the previous layer. And what I'm trying to say here is that through this Ashtanga Yoga, what the yogi is trying to do is go through these coverings of all seven coverings, and the hardest, the densest one is the false ego. So when that is, he's able to, with his self-realization, having meditated on the Lord, having purified from the modes, he then comes out of that, and the soul liberates that way. And then after going through all those layers, even after coming out of that universe, he's still within Mahat Tattva, but only finally when he comes out of the Mahat Tattva, he reaches the spiritual world. So that is the process. And here Srila Prabhupada also mentions what I was saying here is that why we are here is because we all wanted the chance. Here Srila Prabhupada says the chance to enjoy matter is given to conditioned soul. And side by side, they are given the chance to understand what is our real true position, constitutional position. Those fortunate living entities who catch the truth and surrender to Vasudeva after many, many births in this material world join the eternally liberated souls, thus are allowed to enter into the kingdom of God. After these, such fortunate living entities need not come again, but those who cannot catch this truth are again merged into Mahat Tattva. So what happens? If you are in Mahat Tattva means again you are bound. Mahat Tattva means material world, completely material. Only when you come out of this, you enter the spiritual world and you liberate. So, and there are four types of pralayas, annihilation, and we will briefly discuss that because that will help us understand how Dhritarashtra is liberating. So he comes under the Atyantika pralaya, how he liberates. So there are four types of pralaya. First one is Nitya pralaya, then Naimitika pralaya, Prakrutika pralaya, and Atyantika pralaya. So pralaya means annihilation. So Nitya Pralaya is like a constant annihilation that is going on. So everything material gets deteriorated every moment. For example, if you put a flower here and come and see it tomorrow, the flower will fade. So it is constantly going through the annihilation means constant deterioration. So that is Nitya Pralaya and it is fading. Second is Naimitika. Now this is occasional annihilation and this happens at the end of day of Brahma, right? When Brahma's before as the day ends and night starts, this pralaya annihilation happens, and this there are 14 planetary systems in our universe. All 14 planets don't get annihilated. Up to Maharloka, it gets annihilated, and the top 3-4 planets are they remain as it is. This happens at every end of day of Brahma. So this Namitika Pralaya happens and it destroys all the planets and everything, all the matter, everything enters inside Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Again, when the next day starts, then again everything is created again and everything comes out of Garbhodaksha Vishnu and all the planets they start. And so it is like, for example, when you go to the office and your day ends, then what you do? You turn off the computer, you turn off the lights, you turn off everything, and then you go home. Next day, you go back to work, you will turn on the computer again, the lights, the fans, the switches, everything turns on, and then the day starts. Exactly that way, this partial annihilation takes place at the end of Brahma. Now, the third one is Prakrutika Pralaya, which is the complete annihilation where entire universe enters into the body of Mahavishnu. Remember the first Vishnu we spoke about, Karno Dakshay Vishnu, who is in the huge big Mahat Tattva, where everything starts from. When he breathes out, so many little universes come out. We are in one of those universes. But here the entire thing will be annihilated and everything goes inside Karana Dakshay Vishnu. So this is the end of his breath. His one breath is going on, then all these things are going on. When he breathes in, then the entire Mahat Tattva, everything goes back, and then it will restart again when he will breathe out. So that is Prakrutika Pralaya, the complete annihilation. And Atyantika Pralaya, this is the one that happens at individual level. This does not happen at the universal level. This is individual. A person's Atyantika Pralaya means ultimate annihilation. And this happens when we take to Krishna consciousness. It happens at individual level, not at universe level. So, for example, when I give up my false ego, when that is destroyed completely, then my tenure in this material world is terminated. and I go to spiritual world. That is Atyantika Pralaya of individual soul who gets liberated. This is how Dhritarashtra liberates through the Ashtanga Yoga process. His material, his false ego is completely, he is given up, he is purified, and he is not Nitya Baddha anymore. He is not one of the material world soul, but his Jiva liberates and he goes to the spiritual world, and that's what is his liberation, and that is Atyantika Pralaya. So this much I think should be sufficient for our today's words to discuss. So that is how this paragraph here, where he's saying that he's permanently freed from the contaminations of the sum total of the Mahat Tattva. You can see the slides again, right?
Yeah, we can see.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. And the sevenfold material coverings that we discussed also, that he comes out of those material coverings: earth, water, air, fire, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. He is not conditioned soul anymore, but he liberates and he goes back. So this is how he will liberate. And everything within, yes, we discussed that, right? That within Mahat Tattva, everything is matter. And in second canto, there is more detail will come in the creation, which is always very, it's very detailed. So when we come to that, there it's more explanation is given into Mahat Tattva and Dravya, Kala, Karma. A lot of more terminologies are introduced in second canto. So for now, this explanation Srila Prabhupada has given here for Dhritarashtra, the way he progresses further. And here also he says that this happens highest perfectional development of spiritual identity. Dhritarashtra attained because of the grace of Vidura and the Lord. Vidura came into his life. Remember, Vidura comes back just with this purpose to enlighten Dhritarashtra. He didn't come back thinking that, oh, now Duryodhan is no more, so I will go and enjoy the kingdom. No, he was very happy learning about the self-realization and hearing Krishna Katha from Maitreya Muni. But he, out of his compassion for his brother Dhritarashtra, he returns home that, oh, I need to go and enlighten him. It is about time that he, gets some self-realization and does the right thing. That's why Vidura comes. And this is why Bhakti Yoga is also even in Bhagavad Gita 529. If we study that also, it says that, what is the 529? Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Surudam Sarvabhutanam Gnatva Mam Shanti Mrichyati. This is the peace formula, knowing Krishna. So our purpose is to know and serve Krishna. It's as simple as that to liberate. And definitely we have to have that faith that if we follow our spiritual master's orders and follow Guru's instructions, then definitely one day we will also achieve that. We will also, wherever we go, first of all, we want to be with devotees and we want to serve and we want the association, we want to hear Hari Katha. And if at all we liberate, then we go back to Krishna. But that will definitely happen because when we start taking this process, there is no real karma really affecting. It is actually a karma. If we follow the instructions of Guru properly, then in devotees' cases, Guru and Krishna will take charge completely. And when I was reading this Vidura's also how he comes and helps out of compassion Dhritarashtra, I was also thinking of so many other episodes are there in Bhagavatam where devotees like Vidura, they go and enlighten the souls who really need them at that time, and they do it voluntarily out of complete compassion. So, for example, Narad Muni in earlier chapter, we have seen here that how he has come to Yudhishthira to enlighten him. Sukdev Goswami has come to enlighten Parikshit Maharaj. Vasdev, when he was lamenting that he had this despondency that something was missing, and then Narad Muni comes and reveals that you have emphasized four purusharthas so much. you need to glorify Bhakti Yoga. So there, even his guru Narad Muni comes. Actually, Narad Muni is in every canto of Bhagavatam. He comes and enlightens so many souls who needs him. Then in the fourth canto, Narad Muni goes to Prachin Barhi. He gets so much involved in Karma Kand, and he's doing so many sacrifices one after another. In his entire kingdom, he had grown kusha grass to use for these sacrifices. And then Narad Muni comes and enlightens him and says that you need to stop killing all these animals. And he shows him, like by three division, that all these animals are waiting to kill you when the right time comes, because this is not the way. And so you need to stop this karma kand. Then Narad Muni also goes and enlightens Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj, whose mother Suniti, who instructs him that yes, you go to forest and worship Vishnu for whatever you want. He will give you love of millions and millions of mothers. So Suruchi's advice is right. We should only go to Krishna for help. He is our best well-wisher. So Narad Muni then enlightens, helps Dhruva that yes, you go to Madhuvan and then have you worship Vishnu, and he tells him all, everything, guides him. And then there is also Prachetas, who are Prachin Barhi's sons. They also go to the forest, because Prachin Barhi ordered his sons to enter the married life. And as a preparation, they should first seriously take up the responsibility, and for that they need to go to forest to perform devotional austerity. So they go there, and Lord Shiva voluntarily comes there to enlighten them, speaks to them Rudra Gita, teaches them the prayers to Lord Krishna. And so this is how compassionate devotees, they guide the new devotees in bhakti, even without being asked. Even if you don't ask, they will help you, because that is their service to Krishna. And then such a sincere recipient of true knowledge, he passes it on to others without any changing of any message, without any adulteration. As it is, they pass the messages. So this is how I'm trying to say here what Srila Prabhupada is saying here, that how Vidura has come to enlighten his brother. And Dhritarashtra is extremely fortunate that he got this grace of Vidura, and only through his mercy he receives the self-realization and goes back to Godhead. So time is less. We will read two more verses, and then connected to this, the compassionate devotees. There are many beautiful verses here from Bhagavatam that we can recite if there is time. But first, at least we have spoken about the theme of that verse. So then 56th verse. त्वष्टमाया गुणोदर्को निरुद्ध करणाशयः निवर्तिताखिलाहार आस्ते स्थाणुरिवाचलः तस्यान्तरायो मयि वाबुः संन्यस्ताखिलकर्मणः. He will have to suspend all the actions of the senses, even from the outside, and will have to be impervious to interactions of the senses, which are influenced by the modes of material nature. After renouncing all material duties, he must become immovably established beyond all sources of hindrances on the path. Someone wants to read this?
I can read, Mataji.
Yes, please, Shavani Mataji. Thank you.
Purport. Dhritarashtra has attained by the yogic process the stage of negation of all sorts of material reaction. The effects of the material modes of nature draw the victim to indefatigable desires of enjoying matter. But one can escape such false enjoyment by the yogic process. Every sense is always busy in searching for its food, and thus the conditioned soul is assaulted from all sides and has no chance to become steady in any pursuit. Maharaj Yudhishthir was advised by Narad not to disturb his uncle by attempting to bring him back home. He was now beyond the attraction of anything material. The material modes of nature, the gunas, have their different modes of activities, but above the material modes of nature is a spiritual mode, which is absolute. Niraguna means without reaction. The spiritual mode and its effect are identical. Therefore, the spiritual quality is distinguished from its material counterpart by the word niraguna. After complete suspension of the material modes of nature, one is admitted to the spiritual sphere. An action dictated by the spiritual modes is called devotional service or bhakti. Bhakti is therefore niraguna, attained by direct contact with the Absolute. Hare Krishna.
You're muted.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes, I was trying to unmute. Yeah, thank you for reading. Yes, so it's all self-explanatory here in the purport, basically, that he's Maharaj Yudhishthir is advised by Narad Muni that now don't disturb him. He's reached that stage whereby he has no attraction of anything material. So he is at the right place, and the gunas, material modes of nature, have different modes of activities, but above these modes is spiritual mode. That is called nirguna, means without any reaction. There is no reaction to action. What binds us here is that cycle, right? Karma, action, reaction. But he has now, through his Ashtanga Yoga process, reached that level whereby he has there is no reaction to his action. It is about the modes, about the material nature, and similarly, same as bhakti. Bhakti is also therefore nirguna, attained by direct contact with the absolute. So, as we were saying, that when we follow the instructions of our guru, spiritual master, we also enter that state without having to go through this very rigorous process of Ashtanga Yoga. If we sincerely follow the instructions, then we are also at that stage, living the life of following the rules and regulations, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, right? We are also trying our best. So that is also as good as a karma if done sincerely and with good heart, following the guidelines of the guru and acharya. The next verse, Sava adyatanadrajan paratah panchame hanim Kalevaram hasyati swam taccha basmi bhavishyati. O king, he will quit his body most probably on the fifth day from today, and his body will turn to ashes. So Narad Muni is telling Yudhishthir Maharaj the time and day when he will leave the body, and the body will turn to ashes, and the jiva, the soul, will liberate. Narad Muni's prophecy prohibited Yudhishthir Maharaj from going to the place where his uncle was staying, because even after quitting the body by his own mystic power, Dhritarashtra would not be in need of any funeral ceremony. Narad Muni indicated that his body by itself would burn to ashes. The perfection of the yoga system is attained by such mystic power. The yogi is able to quit his body by his own choice of time and can attain any planet he desires by turning the present body into ashes by self made fire. So, what happens when the soul parts, and then when they go through when the final rites are performed, then basically the body is burnt and it turns into ashes. But here there is nobody required to do this last rites for the person who is going to go leave by this process, because they are themselves going to ignite the self-made fire, and in there their own body will turn to ashes. Nobody is required to do anything there, and then that will all happen, take place, and then he will liberate. The body will turn to ashes, and the yogi will quit, and he will even get to choose the time when that happens and which planet he wants to go. But obviously, here Dhritarashtra was enlightened by Vidur Maharaj. So he does go not any other planet. He goes back to Godhead, back to Krishna's spiritual world. That is where he desires to go. He goes there. So this is the three verses for today, and we can recite few beautiful verses in connection with this theme of the 55th verse, where Srila Prabhupada says that if one is very fortunate, then in their life a true devotee enters, a guru comes, and the guru guides. So this is the importance of guru. That how one should be so sincerely devoted and so remain indebted and grateful to what a spiritual master, a guru does. whether they are Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, so many senior well-wishers around us who guide us in the spiritual path. We should be very, very grateful to them and always remember them. And we should be Kritagya. Kritagya means Krita means to do, and Gya means to remember, to know. So if somebody has done given us the spiritual knowledge, guidance in our life, helped us to come close to Krishna, to develop rati, love for Krishna, then we should always, always be Kritagya. Actually, when I had gone for service Monday early morning, we have at 3:30 a.m. The Pujari ji there, he was telling me, and one more Mataji, both of us do this service together. He himself started talking on this theme of Kritagya. And he was also explaining from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that how important it is that one real test of a devotee is if they are Kritagya, if they remember, if they are grateful, then that is called a devotee. But if we just take it very lightly, oh, okay, I heard something, I learned something, so okay, that's fine. No, we should remember we learned this from this person, help me to come close to Krishna, and they are doing me the biggest favor, that they are my best well-wisher, because end of the day, Krishna loves us the most and we love Krishna the most. But because we have ended up here, because we wanted to enjoy, we have forgotten, and they are reminding us, so they are doing us the biggest favor, and they are the most munificent souls, so we should be Kritagya. And here also, in all these verses that I have put here, there is this same theme only. We'll recite this will come in 18th chapter. तुल्यामलवेनापि न स्वर्गं न पुनर्भवम् भगवत् सङ्गिसङ्गस्य मर्त्यानां किम् उताशिषः. The value of a moment's association with a devotee of the Lord cannot even be compared to the attainment of heavenly planets or liberation from matter. And what to speak of worldly benedictions in the form of material prosperity, which are for those who are meant for death. So, a moment's association with a devotee, even my spiritual master, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, says that a moment's association with a devotee, pure devotee, can open doors to liberation. That's how powerful it is. So this is the highest perfectional development, as said by Prabhupada in the 55th verse here, that how Dhritarashtra got the same with the grace of Vidura and Krishna. And the highest devotees, the pure devotees, are gopis. And this verse comes in the Gopi Geet in the middle chapter. तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापः श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि चरन्ति भूरिदा जना. The Bhurida Jana, they are the most munificent devotees who spread God's message. The nectar of your words and the descriptions of your activities are the life and soul of those suffering in this material world. These narrations, transmitted by learned sages, eradicate one's sinful reactions and bestow good fortune upon whoever hears them. These narrations are broadcast all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. Certainly, those who spread the message of Godhead are most munificent. So we know even from Bhagavad Gita Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chadishkritam that Krishna comes into this material world to protect his devotees, to remove the miscreants, and all the devotees are supposed to assist the Supreme Lord in his mission. And he is so merciful that he comes and performs all these pastimes of Bhagavatam, so many wonderful devotees and their pastimes, just to create the subject matter for us to discuss right now. We have got Bhagavatam because of Krishna mercifully descended to material world for us. Otherwise, he is very happy in spiritual world, being in Goloka Vrindavan with Mother Yashoda, Gopas, Gopis. He is very happy there, but he comes only then the subject matter will be created, and only then we can discuss. And we got Bhagavatam, and his pure devotees, they all assist him in his pastimes for us. So they are the most munificent, and they are called Bhurida Jana. So there is one there. Then this is also a prayer of Prahlad Maharaj from 7th canto. Naivo dvije paraduratya vaitaranyastvadvirya namahamrutamagna chittaha shoche tato vimukhchetasa indriyartha maya sukhaya baramudvahato vimudhan. O best of the great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence. For wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. Prahlad Maharaj says, wherever he is happy because all he does is he is totally absorbed in Krishna's glories and activities. And having chosen this verse of Prahlad Maharaj, tomorrow is the most auspicious Narsingha Chaturdashi. So we will meet at the temple. There are so many wonderful, there is Krishna Katha, then there is a drama, then there will be Abhishek in the evening is happening. There is a yagya, Nashinga Kavacha yagya. So please, all of you do come there. And here Prahlad Maharaj says that my concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans. So he is worried about all the people in the material world because they are making all these plans for their material happiness. And in that process, they are so entangled to keep their families happy and to maintain whatever they have in the society and country at large, but I am simply concerned with love for them. So Prahlad Maharaj is actually worried about all the people in the material, what will happen to them, because they don't know the real happiness lies with Krishna actually living this material world, not making this a permanent place and making small arrangements to stay happy here. But as we know, all the happiness is not permanent here anyway. We know matra sparsha sukonteya sitoshna sukha dukkadaha agama apayino anitya stam stitikshasva bharata. We know that also dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It's very temporary. The happiness is very fickle, very momentary. But still, everybody is trying to make this place the happiness. Whereas Prahlad Maharaj, out of his compassion, is so concerned about everyone. So there is a lot more here. Vidura is also telling Maitreya Muni that all the philanthropic great souls, they travel the earth on behalf of the Lord so they can help the fallen souls to become subordinate to Krishna, to get the knowledge of what, because knowledge will lead to vairagya. If we get knowledge from Shastra, that knowledge will help us to detach, and then that detachment can give us renunciation. And here also Lord Shiva, tapyante lokatapena, for the benefit of others, to give others peace, they themselves suffer, great souls. Here Lord Shiva is drinking poison here in the 8th canto to save the universe. He drinks poison at the Samudra Manthan episode, as we remember. So, and this is the last one. Okay, so I've taken few minutes more, but please go ahead and share something that you would like to, your realization or any comments you have. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Divya Gaurangi. Wonderful class. Very elaborated and started with Maharaj, who is so fortunate to be enlightened by Vidura. And that's why we are just mercy case. We need to be enlightened by all the devotees who can help us to realize ourselves, and one day, by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, we can also go back to the spiritual world. And this whole Bhagavatam has given us so much knowledge. So that's why we need to have the Bhagavatam every day of our life. So we can, just by reading, even if it's a one line, one word can help us. So we are very fortunate to have the Bhagavatam classes, all us. Thank you very much for your wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for the encouragement and by your presence here and all the wonderful devotees here. Thank you so much. I mean,
Thank you.
some Krishna Katha. I was sharing with Palika Mataji actually the other day that I heard in one class that this devotee had to give a class and it was his first time. So he said, no, I can't give. So they said, no, it is not you are giving class means it's not about that you are advanced or you need not feel embarrassed or shy. What it is doing is that actually that for that 1 hour I really like this I was telling you Palikataji that for that 1 hour you are completely Krishna conscious.
Yeah.
So that's what you are looking at when you speak Krishna katha or when you discuss with devotees, because when you are speaking you can't fall asleep and you have to be focused because you are speaking. So that time gives you the opportunity to be Krishna conscious fully. And when we speak, we tend to remember afterwards also. So that is why discussion is always encouraged. And so when I heard that, I thought, yes, I should not feel shy, but I should really. This is very inspiring and encouraging for me when I heard that dialogue that devotee was sharing. That yes, we should speak Krishna Katha, we should hear, and we are very fortunate that so many devotees gather together. Actually, all of you are Bhurida Jana, that you give chance. We can do Krishna Katha. Yeah. So for this 1 hour, at least we are totally Krishna conscious. Someone is speaking, someone is hearing, someone is reading. All the wonderful shlokas, even the children and the adults, they recite. So this is a blessing. I think we are all very blessed.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thanks, Mataji. Anyone else wants to share anything? Okay. So we will meet again. Now, as you all know, the chat session is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. So next on Friday. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo.
Ananta Koti Krishna Be Jai.
Vaishnavavrinda ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare
Thank you for
Krishna.
wonderful
Hare
class.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. Thank you,
Thank
Mataji.
you,
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
you. Wonderful class. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.